welcome to another edition of The One Team We Agree On. I'm Jillian.
And I'm Kyle. How are you doing today?
Doing great. How are you?
Good. Second episode this week.
Yes, and we are excited to have on a very special guest, a three-time guest. I know some people are very jealous about this.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
He knows, but yeah, we would like to welcome three-time now guest. It's like on SNL, right? When they have like the Five Timers Club, right? We need a special jacket and whatever. No, but we'd like to welcome Poulomi Banerjee to our pod.
Yay,
Yes.
hello. You need to play like Eminem's Guess Who's Back?
Yes,
Back again.
back again.
I
Yes.
also would love the One Team We Agree On jacket. That would be fantastic. So yeah, I'll be
Yes.
expecting that in the new season. Thank you.
Yes.
So on today's show, we are going to discuss scarves. For those of you who don't know, Poulomi recently her scarf was voted for the 2024 Sons of Ben membership kit. So if you all have not gotten your membership yet, go out. It's now available. I know we got re-up our membership for 2024.
I do too.
Yeah, but the scarf in there, it was designed by Poulomi. So
Yes.
today we are going to discuss a lot about that. But before we get started, as you notice, we're all wearing scarves. So what are we wearing today? Both tops and scarves.
Well, I went with probably one of my favorite things I got in the past season, which is the Partly jersey. I think we all recall that rainy game where they wore the Partly jerseys and some awesome pictures. Like we still love that Mikel Ua picture in this,
good.
right? In the rain.
So good.
When he had his hattie, like that was awesome. So I always like wearing this. So this was my shirt of choice during Leagues Cup. And I am wearing the 2021 Sons of Ben scarf.
And I'm wearing the Join or Die. I mean, I always loved now it says Philadelphia Union, but when you used to walk to Subaru Park, it would say Join or Die. I always
loved
liked
it.
that. Yes, I did too. I thought it was always a cool thing. But this, along with the Come On You Boys and Blue Collar t-shirt, were two of my favorite tailgating shirts during the season. So I wanted to wear that. And I'm wearing my lucky scarf that I wear to basically every home game or away game, and that is the 2019 Sons of Ben summer scarf. I believe this is like a scarf they released during the summer, and it's just a beautiful scarf. I love the snake design on it, like kind of has it around the neck, and it's just a really well done scarf. So what are you wearing?
Before we get into that, I think because you love the summer scarf, you will love my second design idea that I had for Sons of Ben, which I will be doing next year. But t-shirt wise, shout out to MLS Bootleg MLS. I am wearing the Bedoya shirt. Fingers crossed that we get a contract in place and that he's not done for us. Because that'd be really sad. So I wore that. And then my favorite scarf was from I think this was my first home, either my first or my second home game. It was the Champions League semifinal from, my gosh, I don't even remember what year it was. 2021.
Yep.
So that game was so fun. There were like, I would say 20% of the stadium were Union fans at that game.
Yeah.
But the away fans were honestly so kind. I will never forget. Someone gave us this like wood carving of the logo of that game, and it had like the date and both of the teams' logos on it and everything like that. And
oh wow,
it was
That's
just
awesome.
It was great. And like everyone was nice around us. We tried to keep the cursing to a minimum because there were kids around us, but it was just a fun game to be at. The semifinals, right? I mean, looking at the bracket now that they just released, I feel like we could probably make it pretty far this year too. So fingers crossed for that. But this scarf is one of my favorites. I wore it all throughout playoffs last year. I would wear it through playoffs this year, but we had that one warm game and then everything else was away. So
right.
No scarves this year for playoffs.
No, not this year. But No, we're gonna talk about the CCC draw now that it's the what is it, CONCACAF Champions Cup? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It's just too many C's. I'm waiting for me to like give like 5 C's next time, like CCCC. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, I'm interested. I think the Union have a very, like I said last night, very tough bracket, but also a very winnable bracket. I mean, they got Saprissa is going to be a really tough opening match. And then from there, some opportunities. I mean, we're
Yeah,
going to be probably seeing a lot of Liga MX. That's
we
for
will.
sure.
Yeah. Our bracket
So,
definitely has a lot of it.
Which we're
so
pretty good at after the Leagues Cup, we found. So
yeah,
Yes. Yeah, we
yeah.
were.
So there's a lot of positive there. But anyway, before we get started, make sure to follow, subscribe, and please interact with us. We love hearing from you. We are on Twitter at TOTWAG, on Facebook and Instagram at the One Team We Agree On, and we're on Apple, Google, Spotify, and YouTube. So check us out on all those platforms. And again, leave a comment. We love hearing from you. So, Poulomi, let's dive into this. First, tell us what was your interest in entering the scarf contest this year? And kind of what was that all about? Like, because we all got the email like, hey, enter, you can enter. Like, what kind of made you decide to enter this year?
yeah, so it's not my first year entering. Last year was my
Okay.
first year entering. But I didn't know Sons of Ben as well last year when I entered.
Right.
And so I have a million side jobs. So my day job, I'm a fundraiser for a university. But my side job, I'm a photographer. I do freelance graphic design. I do communications. Like I do a lot on the side. And so my first ever job out of college, I was a program assistant for the student affairs office working on the 50th anniversary of the college that I worked for, which is my alma mater. And for the soccer game, they wanted to have something special to give away to the freshmen and to all the attendees because we weren't a football school. We don't have a football team. We've been undefeated since 1966. But we do have a soccer team that is pretty phenomenal. John Bell actually just got picked up by the Seattle Sounders
Right.
from St. Louis, and he is a former UMBC student and player. So it's really excited to see him kind of like moving up and moving on. So yeah, they wanted to do something special for the soccer team, and we my alma mater is only like 57 years old now, I think. So we are now building traditions. And they wanted soccer scarves to be a tradition. So I got asked, because I do design and I like soccer, to design a soccer scarf for the UMBC soccer team. And I did it based off of the MLS soccer scarf that year. So what they did is they had the logo half and half on each side, and it came together. And so I did that, and people's minds were blown. They thought it was the coolest thing. And
That's
since
awesome.
then, I was asked to design the soccer scarf for 3 more years after that. After that, I was burnt out. I was like, I can't do any more soccer scarves anymore. And it was really cool seeing about like 2,000 students, getting a free scarf that had my design on it. And in college, I did a lot of t-shirt designs too through like the student events board. And so I loved it. I love designing things that I got to see large people wear, but I haven't done it in a really long time because in grad school and my professional life, I don't do that kind of work anymore. So
Right.
last year I entered the soccer scarf contest. I entered I think it was like, how there are some people who design like 2 or 3 scarves and they're like kind of similar
Right.
but different. I did that last year and I clearly learned. I was like, that's just not the way to go. And I also didn't understand the organization well enough to get a scarf that I knew was going to kind of like hit people correctly. And so this year I was thinking about my scarf. And I literally designed it the day it was due, like literally the hour it was due. I put it together because I had a few friends, Ethan and Joe, they had an idea for
Yep.
a scarf. Joe really had like the idea for the scarf, and Ethan was really great with providing ideas on like how we can perfect it. Theirs were the join or dupe. It was number 5. And so they had the idea, but they didn't know how to design it. So I offered to design it for them. I said, give me exactly what you want to do. I'll kind of design it for you, and then you can let me know if this looks how you want it to look. And so we figured it out, and we did it. They really like the don't tread on me snake. And then they wanted dupe in it and join or die in some way or form, which I love join or die. So, and then like a sweater scarf kind of pattern for the front. So we did that, and they wanted traditional Sons of Ben colors. So then I did that for them. They loved it. gave it to them to submit, and then it was my turn to design my scarf. So I knew I wanted a snake pattern, like for sure. And then I knew because this year we get a new home kit. And so I want the scarf to match the home kit. And no offense, it's not that I don't like Sons of Ben blue and gold, right? It's just not what I would wear with my skin complexion. Like I
Right.
love the home blue, like the dark blue and the gold. That I mean, like
Yes.
everyone looks good in a dark blue, everyone looks a little tan,
Yes.
but like with my skin complexion specifically, I love their home colors. And so I knew we had a home kit, so I was like, okay, well, I want half of it to at least resonate with that kit. So I wanted a dark blue front, and then the back, I was like, we can do traditional Sons of Ben colors there. And so I knew I wanted a snake pattern, and I actually I went back and forth on kind of like what kind of thing I wanted for the snake pattern, especially knowing that Joe and Ethan used the Don't Tread on Me stake. I was like, I don't want the same thing. And then I was going back. You should have seen me going back and forth between last year's scarf and the cheese steak scarf on the Sons of Ben website, just being like, why did people like these? Like, what did people like about these specific scarves? I was Googling, I Googled Man City scarf. If you have not seen Man City scarf from this past year, amazing. It's modern. It's like just gorgeous. The way the typography is. I love their scarf. And I was looking through like what every team was doing. Looking at like teams that I know that a lot of Union fans like. I'm like, what are their scarves looking like? Ultimately I didn't go with any of them. And I was like, this is helpful, but like none of them are Sons of Ben. None of them would fit the people in Sons of Ben. And so if you don't mind, I'll share my screen.
Go for it.
You can see kind of like what I was working with. My Illustrator file, it's my whole, the artboard is a little insane. It's a little intense. So, this is kind of like where we started with Ethan and Joe's design, and that was the 5th scarf, which got a significant number of votes. It got like 10, 12, 13 votes, I think. And then I had this as just like what does the logo look like? Like, what are the colors? Like, what is the current? And then I had, that was like what they wanted over there. I have all the snakes and everything. So this is what I started with. I wanted to go with snake eyes. I thought snake eyes would look so cool. And this is why, Kyle, I was like, you would love the scarf idea because you like the snake pattern. But then I was showing friends, and my friends were like, that's a reptile, but that's not a snake. And so I was like, dang, like it's not a snake, is it? Like it's like an alligator, or it's like a dragon, or it's like something that's not a snake.
It looks like a bearded dragon, if I'm honest. But
yeah,
no,
it looks very dragon-like, but it looks really freaking cool.
No, like I'm looking at that going,
cool.
I want this scarf. Like like you know, you could put even like this kind of little design with like around it, and just like put like ad fin fidelis, and like I'm just, because I went to college, I majored in communications, focused on journalism, all that. But my minor was in studio art graphic design because I was really into it too. I kind of just dabbled in it. So like the logo that we have for this podcast, I created it. It was just a very simple design, but you know, with the colors and all that. But I'm looking at this going, anytime I see art, I just go, okay, how would I do this? And like that is phenomenal. I really like that.
Could you imagine, like, I was picturing like, what does the scarf look like if someone's holding it and it's shown on TV as the camera pans across Sons of Ben, right? And I think the eyes would be, are we allowed to curse on this podcast?
Yeah.
I think it'd be badass. Like, I think it would look so cool if there are like 50 people with the scarf with the eyes.
It would.
Staring out at the field. So next year, if you see a scarf with eyes on it, it is mine.
Yes.
And I'm going to be working on it for the next year, trying to figure out how I can make these eyes look a little bit more snake-like, and how I'm going to change it for whatever for next year's is, which it won't be like a navy blue scarf because we're not getting a new home kit next year, but I have a long time to figure that out before the next competition. So we started with this, and I was just like, it's not working. I loved what I had on the top. The top, I was like, the front of the scarf, I was like, I just want to keep it basic. And the back is where I was just like, that's where I'm going to have fun with what the scarf looks like. Because looking at the past scarves, that's what seemed to be what's like resonates the most with Sons of Ben. It's a basic front and then a fun back. And so
Right.
that's how I got to the snakes. Because I was just like, no, I loved the fact that both of the eyes were similar, and then I loved having the saying like right in the center, like small but like strong. And so I was like, we're keeping this here, but then what do I put on this side? And so I was like, I'm gonna do a snake similar to what Joe and Ethan did, but I'm gonna do a different type of snake, just like a basic snake. And then I just wanted to just loop all around the scarf into it. So I couldn't get it to look like it loops around the scarf, but I feel like I did a good enough job that it looks fantastic. Though, like it looks like it's like coming at you, right? And I saw I saw like the mock print of the scarf yesterday actually, and it looks so good. Like I saw it and I was like, no way I designed that. Like that looks way too good. So I'm very excited for people to see it. And then the front, it was just, I just used the basic Sons of Ben font. I love logos coming together with the scarf. I think that is just like, I think it's so clean. It's such a cool look. And it's a nice way to break up the year too. And then nothing, the front's just nothing crazy. The front's just like pretty basic. But the back with the snakes, I'm really glad that it turned out exactly how I wanted it to look. And so I'm really glad that I, am designing scarves again. I haven't designed anything since the political campaign 2 years ago. I was working on 4 local political campaigns and doing some graphic design there, but I really have not touched it for fun in a really long time. So I'm really glad Sons of Ben gave me the opportunity to do that. I'm also really glad that they took down the original post with that bad photo of me and replaced it with a better photo. Also, capos who are listening, how do you look so cute when like getting photos taken? Like, are you posing? Like, you've seen capo photos, right? Like,
Yeah.
they're like smiling or they look so good. And I look like I have something that is inappropriate to say on a podcast in my mouth while yelling. And it looks so bad. I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out. Maybe I need to smile for the camera, but then I'm the capos that like people like complain about, right? Like I'm not doing it to be on camera. Like I'm doing it to be loud.
You're actually like, showing good enthusiasm and like doing a great job. So like don't worry about that. I'll tell you what. But
yeah, so that's my long spiel on scarves. My soccer scarf history goes back to like 2016. So this is not going to be the first, like the only scarf contest I win for Sons of Ben. I expect to win at least once more in the future. I'm coming.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, when I was going to vote for it, and I had no idea that was
I didn't tell anyone. Yeah, I didn't tell
No, you didn't.
Yeah. And I voted for it. And like what really stood out to me was, the back scarf with the snakes. I loved that, I thought that stood out to me right away. I was like, oh, I like how you did the snakes on there. So that's really what stood out to me and why you got my vote there.
No, and for me, and Poulomi, you and I had this conversation, but before that, when they first came out, I was sitting there and I'm looking at all the scarves and I'm going through them. I'm like, okay, that one kind of reminds me of this scarf I have. This one reminds me of this scarf I have. And I have one of the scarves, and it's right up here. You can't see it, but on the back of it was a snake that was done a couple years ago. I forget which year it was. They did a snake, but the problem was on the scarf, like the snake design's really nice on like the mock, but then when they did it kind of was faded, and I don't know. It was the right idea, but the scarf material didn't. You know how you have this great idea and it just doesn't when you put it on.
Didn't really translate.
Yeah, and I've designed scarves, so I know exactly what material it's going on. Like I knew how this was gonna look.
Right. So I saw that and I'm like, that's a upgrade. And then there was a couple others like your friends that I liked. And then so I'm like going through it, and then I saw a tweet, and you're like talking, and somebody's like, oh, I voted for this one. And I'm like, wait a minute. And I joked, I go, "You voted for this one," and then you told me which number it was, and then I like looked, I'm like, "Oh, that's the one I voted for," because it was like just random. Because I was like, "That's a really nice one." But I guess my other question is like, what were some of the other designs that you liked that you remember?
Yes, I literally have it up now. So yeah, so I recognize the following I have on Twitter, and I didn't want people to vote my scarf just because I designed it, right? So
Right.
I tried to keep it as under wraps as possible. But then I was looking at the comments and like minus Sarah, my roommate. So Sarah, my roommate, signed up for Sons of Ben so she could vote for my scarf, which was very sweet of her. And if you look at the comments under every scarf post, she goes, "Seven is just so incredible." And I'm like, oh my God. But you see like 5 or 6 likes under each comment she did. So like people actually did like my scarf, but I tried to keep it quiet until like the final week of voting. Cause I was just like, I don't want people to vote for it just because it's mine. But the one that I like got like 2 votes. And I think that's more of like, I think that's because I know what looks good on like a fleece scarf.
Right.
Like I know what's gonna print well on it. Some of these just like wouldn't print well on it. Like that's just, and that's not like to the designer's fault. That's just like I've designed enough scarves to know what looks good and what doesn't. 17 and 19, I think would be killer scarves. And I think they would print so well too. So that was like the checkered blue and yellow. It was like an electric blue and yellow.
Was that
Mhm.
17?
Yeah.
Because I thought 17 on like a summer scarf design
Oh,
would be beautiful.
beautiful.
It
Yeah.
would be beautiful, but like if you had more of like what she
Yeah.
has, or like even like last year's, I don't know how that translates.
I think it would look really good. That and like 21. I think 21, 17, and
Looks
19
good.
were all the same designer. I want to know who it is because I honestly
Yeah.
people didn't vote for those 3, but I know like as a designer like that would be real. I think those were phenomenal. So those were my favorite. I know that the other one that got a lot of votes was 16 with the lightning.
Yeah.
And I'm like the lightning would have been great with the lightning kits, but we are past that. So
That's kind of where I was too with that. Like,
yeah.
yeah. I mean,
But great
I'm all,
design. Like
oh yeah.
I love the traditional like sweater crisscross pattern. Like I think that was great.
Yeah.
I 17, 19, and 21 were just like I love those a lot. I'm like scrolling through the other ones. And it is funny because if you look at 5 and you look at 7, like it is a very similar, like you could tell it's the same designer.
Yeah.
Just different ideas. Yeah, those were my favorite. I'm still trying to figure out who designed them. Like no one's come out and been like, I did it. So maybe I just need to message Rachel and be like, can you tell me who designed these so I can tell them that I love them? I love them.
Yeah.
Well, if
Yeah, I'd
they
kind of like to know too.
if
Yeah.
they are listening, they can also leave a comment. Just so
Mhm.
we do kind of want to know who designed, because it came
Yeah.
down to like like I think it was 17, 19, and then yours for me personally, because I was like, okay. And then it was just a snake. I was like, I like the snake on there.
Yeah.
Anytime there's a snake on a scarf,
Oh, yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I mean Strike Gold I think was so recent too that I was just like in snake mode. I was full snake mode.
Yeah.
what? Okay, let's pivot for a second. The logo this year, the Strike Gold,
Yeah.
compared that playoff snake compared to previous year's playoff snakes. Like we've had some. What do you think about this year's playoff snake?
Okay, so I love the snake. The tongue looks like a dolphin's tail or like
It
a
does.
mermaid tail or something like that. So
Right.
minus the weird tongue, love this year's snake, which is why I did those like angry like dragon eyes because I was
Right.
like, it kind of matches the strike gold. Like I feel like the strike gold snake would have these eyes.
Yeah.
But yeah, minus the tongue, I love this year's snake.
Yeah. So for me, I said this. There's other years I kind of like a little bit more overall. This year's playoff snake spoke to me so much. Like I want that as a tattoo. Like that's a back piece tattoo on my back that you could just put on there, or like on your side or something. Like that is a beautiful tattoo that,
Yeah.
like
Well, for me, it's I actually felt the same way about the one from 2021,
Yeah.
that playoff
I'm
snake
looking at
was
2021 right
unbelievable.
now. That's a good
2021 one, I
tattoos.
love that one. I would get a tattoo. I have no tattoos, but if I were getting one, it would be that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, no, I was just curious because you brought the playoffs thing. I like it. Don't get me wrong. It's funny. Although, did you see the logo when they first revealed it? They had like the little union logo in the middle of like the
No,
mouth.
I didn't see that.
Do you remember that? Like when they had like the little like
Yeah.
what was it? Wallpapers. They had ones with like the
Yes,
Oh, they
union.
yes, I
did.
see it now. I see it
Yes,
now.
and I was
Yeah.
like, no, you should take that out. Take that. You
Yeah,
know,
they did take it out.
they did then, and it looked a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
So
I wonder if that was by choice.
I wonder. That's a good question.
It is.
So
Or if like it just didn't copy over when they were shifting to a new artboard.
so
Wow, amazing.
So, yeah. So it's hard to believe though, the season finally came to an end and
Finally.
we're in the off season, but we want to talk about what were some of your fond memories from the 2023 season? What were some of
Oh,
your favorite memories?
I was just talking to this about this with Todd today, who I want to give a shout out to. Not all of us can be on the podcast 3 times. Some of us have it, some of us don't. And I just
wow.
happen to have it. But I love the Leagues Cup. Like I went into the Leagues Cup being like, this is stupid. I'm not gonna go to any of the games.
Yeah.
And then my first Leagues Cup game, Jared had Capo, came to me and was like, why don't you just Capo this game? Like low stakes. Like it's gonna be it's a different crowd in Sons of Ben. Like this is a great way to kind of like retest out capoing. Because my first time capoing ever was Houston, not last season, but the season before. And I wasn't gonna do it because I didn't have the right shoes on and I was already drinking at that point, but I feel like I couldn't say no, right? And it's like Jared, he's like, you should do it. And he like ran off to get approval, like before I could even say like yes or no. And so yeah, that Leagues Cup was by far my favorite because I loved capping so much at that game that I just kept doing it every single game and I kept coming back. I opted in. I got to bring my parents to see Messi because my parents are huge Messi fans and they were not in Sons of Ben. They were like seated in the corner with the away fans. And so like it was just great. One, it was great to like bring my parents to a game to see a player that they've loved for so long, especially thinking back to like the soccer ball, it's a dedication to the 1994 World Cup this year for MLS for the 2024 year. And my parents went to the World Cup in 1994 when they were 6 months pregnant with me. And so I have like shirts that are like 1994 World Cup because of like that whole moment. My dad didn't get to see any of the game because my mom needed soda constantly that whole game. So he was like going back and forth to get her soda because she's a pregnant woman. You get her what she wants, right? And so yeah, I loved getting to like bring my parents to that game, even though we lost. Like it just my parents were so happy, and that was like a win to me, and that was great. I'm trying to think of like that was like such a huge moment for me. This season was a little insane for me, as you both and people on Twitter know. Honestly, like the playoff, like the one playoff game was really great because I wore the shirt that had Martinez on it and I like tweeted at him and I tagged him on Instagram and he liked both of them. And then he like came to me after the game and we like high-fived and he saw my shirt. And so that was really awesome. I can't wait till next season when like so many more people are wearing like shirts with players on them. I think it's going to be awesome thanks to Bootleg MLS. My first like regular season game capoing, that was phenomenal. I just had such a good time at that game. I just like every like kid that I got to like really get to start chanting. Oh my gosh, the rain delay for Wrexham. That was
so fun.
That was a fun time.
And then chanting and like just dancing around in the rain as we like ended the game in a tie, which honestly is a win in my book, I think, considering the age and like experience of the players on both teams. I mean, that was phenomenal. This was a season that I also got to go on the field and hold the flag like during the national anthem too, and so that was great. And also like I like with Jillian, we got to like meet so many players together at open practice. That
Yeah, we
was my
did.
first open practice I've ever been to for the
Yes.
union. So it was very fun getting to hang out with you, but also getting to like get all those selfies and talk to players. I think I was shaking after meeting Bedoya for like 20 solid minutes after. And even just like the welcome, kind of like the open season meeting the players.
Yes.
I still have I have it framed, my autograph like page that I have with all of them. Like getting to meet Bedoya's daughter, like her signature is in the bottom corner
Aw.
and it just says Bedoya in all caps,
Aw.
which I think is so cute. I mean, that was such a nice moment too. So this season was a lot emotionally, but it was a good one, and I learned a lot about myself, and I just got to get really close to a lot of really incredible people. And so I also I volunteered for the first time at tailgates, and I'm gonna volunteer like forever now because I'm just going to games alone. And I mean the ladies who set up the tailgate, oh my gosh, Stephanie, like all of them, they're all so wonderful. And I spent like 2 hours defrosting meat for the walking tacos at one tailgate.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And so
awesome though.
yeah, just like those memories that I have with just really wonderful people that I don't think I would get to meet like these kinds of people if I was like a fan of DC United or any other team. So I just feel very lucky to, have found such incredible people and have gotten to make like so many amazing memories with really great people this season. So I'm very excited for next season, for new memories, and hopefully, a lot more wins. I think it's going to be really good. It'll be fun for sure.
Yeah, I know, like, I had such a great time at the open practice, and also when we went down to DC,
Oh, yes.
that was so fun.
The 10 exits I missed.
Yes. Yes. No, that was super fun. And, I totally agree, like, we've gotten to know so many people through this, and, you know, the fact is Kyle goes up to, the press box and abandons me, like, every time. So but at this point, and I joke, it's whatever, but, he, he does his thing, but, like, the fact that but I know it's like even my family members, like my own sister, she's like, "Wait, Kyle just, like, leaves you and he goes with the press box." I'm like, "But I know, like, everybody around me in my section, like, and I know and we're at the tailgate together, like,
Yeah,
but it's just like, I've gotten to know so many people anyway, so it's like, okay." It was I didn't know as many people at Cincinnati when we were at the playoff game there, but still, I got to know some people. But even so, that was cool. But like even yeah, we're in like a different city and I'm still like, hey, I know you and I'm hanging out with people,
Right.
getting to know people. So um
and that's the
yeah.
really cool part, I think, too, because like you said, like, up in the press box doing my thing, and then you're down there getting to know people and then just building a wider connection across the board. I mean, there's been a couple people I've met at press box that are like, "Hey, down the road, if you want to come on our podcast, we want to come on your podcast." It's like,
Mhm.
networking, and making friendships. I think that's been the coolest thing for us is just the friends we've made along the way this year.
Yes.
And
Yes.
now
Mhm.
building those friendships into 2024,
Mhm.
building, like we've said all along, union family. And we were talking about this with Kevin, and Kevin agrees it's by design. I mean, the union are trying to build the fan base in Philadelphia. They really are. The gym, the players, they go
Mhm.
out of their way to connect with the players. You're not seeing this in LA. You're
No.
probably gonna see it in some other clubs, but
Yeah.
I don't know what those clubs are. But I mean, I shouldn't say that. I did see a
I was
little
gonna say
bit
the
of
Red
that with
Bulls do a good job too. I will give it to them. I've
yeah,
seen them have some
and
good
so
fan
and
base
so
stuff.
and I
Yeah.
was watching Cincinnati. Cincinnati seems to do that, but that's
Yeah.
Chris and Pat. That's
Right.
Chris and Pat. They came from that
Yeah.
environment. So I mean, you do see it. But it is interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm just really excited to get back to this. Like I tweeted right after we
Yeah.
got back to our hotel. I'm like, I'm ready for 2024.
No, not gonna
Yup.
lie, I actually like really miss going to games right now.
I
I know
do.
when I saw you two on the screen on Zoom, I was like, "Oh my God, I've not seen you two in so long."
I know. I miss seeing like the whole Union family. It's like, yeah, we should all do a get together in the off season.
Question.
There is
You
one.
do
Yeah. Yeah.
what? Did you know that on Monday there's a locker sale? Are you going to that?
Oh, yeah, the
I
locker room
know.
sale.
Okay, so I have definitely left work a little early for union things in the past. But this one I just cannot swing. It's just a
Yeah.
busy time at work for me at the end of the calendar year. So I'm not gonna be able to go. I've never been to a locker sale before. I'm hoping next year I can maybe make it to one because I hear people have gotten some awesome stuff like Blake jerseys. Like that's the main
That's
one I
what
hear that people have gotten.
Yeah,
That's what
we
we
got
got.
Stu shorts last
We
year.
got Stu
Oh
shorts.
yes, amazing.
He could have gotten some cleats too, but we didn't want to like shout too much. But
I mean, if they're still sitting there, we might have to. We might have to.
Are you
But,
two going?
Yeah,
I'm actually gonna go. I got my swim practice covered, so
yeah,
I'm
we
gonna
both
go
got
this year.
Christmas covered, so we're gonna head down, picking her up, and we're gonna go down and
Nice.
hang
Okay, well, I
out.
can't wait to see what you get.
Yeah, so I'm looking
Yes.
for that. So, well, anyway, Poulomi, thank you again for coming on and talking to us, and sharing these designs. And this was a phenomenal
Super
conversation,
fun as always.
I
as
love
always.
talking to you both. Thanks for having me on.
And we will see you again once the kits for 2024 from all of MLS are released. I mean, we were talking that before the show. So, that's it for this episode of the One Team We Agree On.
Yeah, make sure to subscribe, leave us comments. We love hearing from you. And if you have any ideas for future guests or topics, please reach out. We'd love to hear from you.
And until next time, I'm Kyle.
I'm Jillian.
And we'll see you at the game.